Okay, so when I first got the idea after talking to my friend about knowing that I could be a life coach, I had a lot of fear and resistance. And one of the fears that I had is a fear that a lot of school counselors have. How can I do this ethically? How can I do this, making sure that I'm not stepping into a lane that I don't need to be stepping into. And I talk about all of that in my course that I built because that is something I wish that someone would have walked me through is understanding that as a school counselor, you should know how to stay in the school counselor lane and not hop over into the therapy lane. And that is kind of a big ethical point of life coaching that you are not giving therapy. And if you are kind of unsure about what some of those ethics may look like, I do talk about that in my course, but you can also just Google. I know ICF has a lot
Mhm.
of good things that go for their life coaching program, but they also are just good to follow in general. So, as far as
Okay.
understanding for me that there is not necessarily a legal list of ethics like there are for therapists, but you can still be sued as an individual if you're giving therapy instead of life coaching. Just knowing that. But I think it's good to have a little bit of not fear, but a good to kind of understand. I don't want to hop into a lane that is unethical. And that's a great place to think about. But I believed the lie that I needed another credential. I think that school counselors, most of them, what they really need is permission. They really need permission to understand that usually they're trained to think if I don't have a therapy license, if I can't do therapy, what else is there? And I did not know that these are all transferable. So let me talk about just some of the transferable skills that I learned doing this. Number one is the solution focused training. So in Texas, I do know from talking to school counselors throughout the country, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but there are different qualifications for school counselors per state. Some of them have to be licensed. As far as I've heard that some states they have a licensed school counselor. It's different than how it is in Texas. I'm not sure.
I honestly don't know if you want to know the truth. That's something we could research. I was a school counselor in Georgia, so I don't even know what it's required to be one in Texas.
Well, yeah, and regardless, school counselors anywhere, if you're a school counselor in any state, you are not providing long-term therapy. That is not what you're
Correct.
doing. And that is a transferable skill. School counselors are trained to be solution focused. We're looking for a solution and we know how to refer out when needed. That is the same thing in life coaching. And that is what I teach people in my course as well. When I discovered coaching, I realized that coaching is school counseling for adults. You're focusing on all these things as, staying in your lane and helping people kind of figure out what they want, where they want to go and how to get there. It's the same thing that we do with students. And there is a book called Motivational Interviewing for School Counselors. Highly recommend it. It's basically what it does is it trains you how to ask powerful questions that help students come to the conclusion on their own. And it helps you explain to students, like, this is your life. This is your school. This is mainly for secondary, but um, it's your future. What are you going to do about it? And how can I help you get to your goal? Because some students, they have no idea. It's the same thing with adults. Those are the
Right.
same things you're doing with adults in life coaching. Life coaching is very forward focused, it's solution focused. And the other thing I help counselors do is figure out their niche, which is a whole other conversation. But here's just the rest of the skills that I didn't realize were very valuable is boundary setting. Knowing how to make boundaries. A lot of school counselors are not good at that, but you have to learn how to make boundaries. Crisis management, like understanding when to refer out. Counselors know that. You are a mandated reporter as a life coach as well that, when someone tells you something, it's the same confidentiality rules that apply with school counseling. Just working with resistant clients, like learning how to work with people and kind of help them understand the needs that they have, and professional communication as well. And here's the thing I had to realize school counselors are wildly overqualified for the work of school, for the work of coaching. They actually are overqualified because they not only understand the boundaries between therapy and school counseling, or they should, because that's in the ASCA standards. They just don't know how to translate their resume. And that is what I help people with.
Yes, you do. And her course, I have actually taken her course, and it is a beautiful course, and it's very relatable, and it breaks it down so that you can understand, and it helps you kind of challenge that fear with facts. With facts that she shows you what's there that you kind of knew was there and helps you shake off that imposter syndrome.
Yes, and also give people, some next steps of how to move
Mhm.
forward. The other thing I've realized as of lately is that some school counselors, they look at the course and they get overwhelmed because they're thinking, I can't take on one more thing. I can't take on another course to go through. And so that's why I also do one-to-one coaching with people who are ready to get started and they don't want to go through what I went through, which was basically trying to build the plane as I was flying it. That is what I was doing. Yes, and here I am a year later, and I wanna tell people too that whatever your exit ramp is, you need to start building it before you have a health crisis. Whether that is homeschool consulting, whether it is coaching, whatever it may be, because I had an exit ramp with my multi-level marketing company. That's what I help school counselors do, is to start building now so that when it is time, if your job gets cut or and you don't have to just do coaching. There's a bazillion things that you can
Mhm.
actually do. And that is what lovely Kimberly helps you understand is there's a whole world out there. You have to give yourself permission to understand that you are marketable. Your skills are marketable.
They are, and I come in it from the perspective of they're marketable, but they're also needed very much in the
Yes.
homeschool community. Our population is exploding, and with the advent of that explosion comes along also a need for services that families aren't getting through the traditional referral systems that they would get through public education. They still need the services. They're just going to be receiving them from a different pathway. We're literally building that pathway at the Homeschool Counseling Network.
Yes. And it's kind of, I look at it in the same way as this is gold and silver just skyrocketed, right? And so if I knew that that was going to happen, 10 years ago or longer, I would have started building that, right? So we are aware that there's a lot of changes that are happening in education. We don't know what those changes are all going to look like, but I think it's wise for school counselors to kind of start just opening their eyes to the other things that are available for them so that if that, God forbid, if your job gets cut or if funding changes or if you have a personal health crisis like I did, definitely look at your options. And I think now is a really good time to start looking at options. So,
Well said. Well said. Well, Rebecca, thank you so much for helping us learn how to talk back to that fear with facts. And we appreciate you coming on here. We appreciate you being with the in the Homeschool Counseling Network directory as well, and for teaching us there is another way. Can you tell our listeners and our viewers where they can find you and how you can support them on their journey of pivoting?
sure. So, I now help school counselors transition into coaching without going back to school. I teach them how to reframe their existing skills, build their niche, create an exit ramp, just all the things that you don't realize that you need before you get started. The way they can find me is either I am on the Homeschool Network preferred provider. They can find me that way. I also have a Facebook group. It is the only one that exists, and I'm very excited about it. So it is called School Counselor to Life Coach. If you literally put that in the Facebook search, you will see it. It's the only one. Or you can literally Google me. If I learned the other day, if you Google school counselor to life coach, I come up because I'm the only one doing it, which is amazing. And then obviously you can email me deeply rooted you Riley Riley at gmail.com, or my website is www.deeply-rooted.
Well, we will put all of that information down in the show notes so that our listeners and our viewers can find it. And we do appreciate so much of your time for you coming on and sharing your journey with us and being willing to pour back into this community and also pour into the fellow educator community to let them know there is another way. You are not
Yes, there
trapped. You
is.
do not have to feel trapped. Talk back to that fear. Here is another way. And we thank you so much for your time today.
Yes, thank you, Kimberly.